people use nowadays. It's after COVID. It's been all remote working. Even in my current job here, it's all. I haven't been to my office in like months, probably. Right, and I think that even the previous job I was there when COVID came, and I think even before that, several people were remote. And I always wondered how, like, do you have trouble sometimes? What do you type on Slack, and how do you tell the other guy what he wants, or what he wants to know? It's very hard to tell what the right question is. What is, so sometimes people don't get it, the context doesn't come right, and so on and so forth, right? So most of us have trouble, right? But my previous company, right, when I was at RSync, I used to work with this guy called Avinash, and he was not much senior to me. I think 2 or 3 years maybe, but boy, he was like 4 levels ahead in the promotion cycle. Like one of these super whiz champion types guy. Joined the company 1 year before me, zoomed up the ladder, did everything right, like talking to customers when you need to do it, talking to the boss, managers, like teammates को कुछ समझाना है, कुछ काम कराना है, कुछ काम खत्म हो रहा है, नहीं हो रहा है, तो कैसे समझाना है, right? Everything, like the guy did everything right, and he went up the ladder like faster than anybody we had ever seen. And funny thing is, we hardly ever met him because he was like almost always remote. And हम सब लोग बैंगलोर में बैठे थे, वो बंदा दिल्ली में था. बट वहां से भी हमको यहाँ बैठे बैठे हमसे हो नहीं रहा था काम, वो बंदा वहां से कर रहा था. इट वाज लाइक अमेजिंग. लाइक द it wasn't even the work that made me like jealous of the guy, honestly. So I Bangalore mein tha, so I used to go to the office once in a while, right? And so there was this girl called Reena who joined the company at that time. I think around the same time as he did, probably. So I don't know how to describe what she was like. Public usko गरीबों की दीपिका पादुकोण बोलते थे. So you can guess what she was like, probably. So as is typical, people are like सब चेस कर रहे हैं. सुबह सुबह स्लैक पे गुड मॉर्निंग, हाउ आर यू, आज बड़ी अच्छी हेयर स्टाइल है, नौटंकी चल रही है सबकी. एंड शी इज लाइक sick of it and absolutely standoffish, कुछ नहीं करेगी, and so on and so forth. But 6 months after she joined, she's engaged to Avinash. How that bastard did it, I have no clue. He joined and then वो किया, and he's in Delhi. Okay, मिले भी पता नहीं कब मिले कि नहीं मिले. एक आध बार कभी यहाँ आया था ऑफिस की ट्रिप पे, 2 दिन रहा था, उसमें इससे मिल के गया, वापस गया, सब कुछ कर लिया. This is like the guy who knew everything and the guy who had everything. And we had like totally, we were in awe of his power, whatever he had. फिर एक बार वो क्वार्टरली मीटिंग थी, क्वार्टरली प्लानिंग वाली मीटिंग, तो सीनियर बंदा है तो वो भी आया. एंड आई थिंक वो आया और उसी टाइम पे ऑफिस में कोविड का कुछ वो अटैक हुआ, तो द होल मीटिंग गॉट पुश्ड forward by a day. And as it turned out, he was living in a hotel that was close to my house at the time. तो मैंने सोचा ओके ये मौका है, बटर अप द गाय हु इज डूइंग वेल, मे बी गेट सम टिप्स फ्रॉम हिम, ही माइट रिकमेंड मी एंड सो ऑन. मैंने मैसेज किया उसको कि चल यार दारू पीने चलते हैं पास में, जैसे नाइस प्लेस वी कैन. So he agreed. He has nothing more to do. Free का दारू कौन मना करता है? So he came over and I took him to the place, shady place. It's near Indira Nagar. You know that CMH road? उसके पीछे में there is one or two places that are like old timers go, right? So it's not very atmospheric, but it's quiet and बहुत जनता नहीं आता है. So I took him there. प्लान यही था, पूछे उसको कि क्या भाई, तो पिलाया उसको. And he was like, I'm willing to like take what you want and tell me. At some point I was like, dude, you are like the smartest guy I ever know. And funnily enough, I'd been speaking to him and we've been chatting for an hour. Samne mein, he never felt like that. He felt like any normal guy, nothing very special, like. But how he managed to do all the things that he did, I have no clue until I asked him, how do you do it? Like how you get all the deals, right? So I started with that, like, how did you get your last couple of promotions? You have gone really fast. You're like really smart guy. I'm like, I want to learn from you how you do it. I think by then he had drunk enough to actually tell me what he'd done. You use Slack, right? Right? Everybody does. And he's in Delhi, he uses Slack more than others. And do you even remember how you set it up? If you do it once when you join the company, buttons come, options come, tick mark karte ho, kuch to karte ho. Somewhere he had ticked one option on Slack somewhere. And he said it was something like a preview option. and he didn't remember where it is, and he couldn't even tell me where it was now. But what preview did was that whenever he was typing in a chat message to someone, right, the other guy's response would come before he'd sent it. So when he's sending the message and he's saying that, hey Dinkar, how are you doing? And before he's typed the whole thing in and pressed enter, Dinkar's response would pop up and say, hey, I'm good, I'm sick today or whatever. Right. And he was puzzled as to how this could work. So, artificial intelligence, maybe it's machine prediction, maybe it's time tunnel, maybe it's, one of these futuristic technologies, maybe Elon Musk had a hand in it. God only knows. But it worked and it was really, really accurate. And he found it within like a few weeks of his joining the company that other people there didn't have that. Nobody had ticked that preview box. Nobody probably would. And he somehow had it. It turned into his secret weapon because when he wants to ask for a promotion, he could try typing out things. He could say, hey boss, I want a hike. And he would type that and he would wait. And then the boss's response would come. The boss would say, no way. So then he would, backspace, 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 remove his question. And the response would disappear. And then he would try something else. So, hey boss, I saw your article in the newspaper. You had an interview. That was awesome. And then the response would come, right? And he would try out everything that could really work. And he would choose the one that, okay, this is the one that works best. And then he would send that. And then it would actually go and the person would actually receive it and he would send back the actual thing. And that he never put a foot wrong. He could preview every single conversation. He could try out every single combo, every conversational gambit, every approach, every cheap trick, every slide, anything, pickup line. That's what worked on Reena as well because Hajar Janta are trying, she's getting these messages all morning. She's ignoring everyone, but the one thing that she can't ignore is the right message. And he told me, like it was a day, like a few weeks after she joined, and she set some kind of weird status message as her WhatsApp profile because obviously सब हरामी लोग DP profile देख रहे हैं उसका. And she changed her profile and he realized, okay, something's wrong personal life, and he used that and sent out like a very sympathetic message. And वहां से story शुरू हुई. And he never put a foot wrong, and and that's how it worked. And he said like, I don't know what I did to make it work, but my Slack actually tells me what's going to happen before I start talking. And so nothing I have done has gone wrong. I've got all my sales deal or even external customers I talk through. Everything is through Slack. It's all remote. We all work remote all the time. Right. And it doesn't matter where you're from, which country, which city. Everyone talks the same way. All my deals go through. Everything works for me. Right. I'm the luckiest guy on earth. Right. And then I think somewhere around there, he realized that he'd kind of spoken too much. And then he said, okay, dude, don't tell people, right? I mean, they'll think I'm cheating. So I didn't do it on purpose. It came to me. So I'm not cheating. I just got something. And if you guys can figure out where that option is on Slack, go ahead and use it. I'm not stopping you. Right. So I was like, okay. And of course, I didn't say anything to him. Internally, I was okay. I'm going to go back and try. And he went on to do his quarterly planning, and I hunted for days. I could not find the option. Maybe it was some quirk in some version. Maybe there was some other button I had to press to get to the right screen. I just couldn't find it. And I assume, I don't think anybody else did. Maybe they updated the Slack version and took that functionality out. Who knows? They couldn't find it. I never found it. I never knew. And I think like a month after that, Reena transferred to Delhi and then they got married. Right. And then they were, I think 6 months or so they were married. And then at some point, there was this message about Reena moving back to Bangalore. And, so Avinash and I had struck up some kind of friendship, born out of that one evening. And so I messaged him Kya hua? And obviously he would say the right thing. He came and said, no, nothing. Just, it's a kind of trial. We just needed some space away from each other. And, so I didn't say anything. I thought maybe it's like face to face बंदे को बात करते नहीं आई probably ना इसलिए so she couldn't. He was a perfect man on Slack, but he wasn't that perfect face to face. So maybe that's why it didn't work. I think that was when he came back again. Sometime around then he came back for yet another quarterly meeting to Bangalore. And this time, he messaged me earlier कि मैं आ रहा हूँ, चलते हैं. And I took him back to the same place and we were chatting again. And I asked him क्या हुआ है. Like, you don't mind me asking, I know the story, and so he was like, no, that's okay. It was what I had expected, that, face to face, he'll make blunders. He'll not say the right thing. He'll mess up. झगड़ा कर लेगा बंदा, temper lose कर देगा. And she couldn't, like, क्या है? This is not the guy I married, sort of. And she came here, and then, but he was kind of upbeat over it. He was like, see, अब जो वापस आ गई है Bangalore. Now it's back to Slack, right? I'm now talking to her, and it's a week and a half of talking to her, and it's going to work out. Now, again, I have my secret weapon in hand. It's going to work out. Things will win, and I'm going to take a chance and just tell her one day that, this is how it happened and what it happened, and like, line mara tha, but it wasn't fake. Like, it was genuine. Like, I did like her. I did want to marry her. So बोल दूंगा, फिर एक बार मन जाए, एक बार साथ में आ जाए, फिर एक बार बता दूंगा, then things will be fine. So, and उसी खुशी में ज्यादा दारू पी गया. I had to big bill to pay that night, but ठीक है. So then, I think 2 weeks after that, and nobody expected it, he resigned. He left the company. So Arsink and everybody was shocked, in general, that kya ho gaya? When everything was working perfectly in his life, like hot shot. I think he was due to be turned into the CTO in the next cycle. He was like moving so fast, but nothing going wrong. How did he resign? And I messaged him. I had his WhatsApp number. I messaged him. He didn't respond back. And LinkedIn पे he just like work break sabbatical some nonsense type करके बंदा गायब हो गया. I didn't even have his address. एक आध बार मैंने message किया, like I was surprised, and probably a lot of the people were secretly relieved that their rival was gone and so on. You know how it is. चला गया बंदा. But I saw somewhere that he's so didn't take up another job. I don't know where he went. So I thought that was the end of it. So why this whole thing comes to mind right now is what you were telling me just before we started, about relationships working out, not working out. And I met him, I think 6 months later, totally, out of the blue. It was funny. I was in Delhi and I went to that, that City Select mall. So वहाँ गया, I went to watch a movie there. वहाँ के washroom में, I was in the washroom, 2 काउंटर छोड़ के वो बंदा खड़ा था. And I was like, अबे तू यहाँ क्या कर रहा है? अबे तू यहाँ क्या कर रहा है? And he looked amazed that I remembered him, but he looked a lot sadder. दाढ़ी वाड़ी भी बढ़ा रही थी. मैंने कहा कि चल यार, एक और round, one last, let's catch up. He didn't seem to want to talk actually. I persuaded him. I said, चल free की दारू कौन मना करता है? I said. I persuaded him. वहीं पीछे ही there's a bar right behind there. So I took him there. मैं बिठाया, बात करने लगा, and just after a bit of chit chat, I asked him what he's doing. He refused to answer. He didn't have any job at the time. He had not taken. And so then I asked him what happened, and finally, it came down to that. क्या हुआ क्या? Why did you leave? And like, I thought, like, did your Slack stop working? Did you lose all that? And that's why. So there's no point in you staying. Or did Reena not come back? And like, बंदे की आंख में आंसू आ गए. वैसे भी थोड़ा पिया हुआ था. And he was emotional हो गया. So I kept quiet for a bit. Finally, then I he finally explained. So Slack, his preview option, it would let him try all the conversational gambits, right? It would let him try the pickup lines. It would let him try all the possible approaches to talk to people that he could. And when he found the one that worked, he would go with it and it would work out. He tried for a week to make things better with Reena, right? And he says, I spent days Googling for inspirational quotes and lines and ideas and philosophy and all this shit. I tried every single thing in that preview button that I could think of, and nothing worked. Absolutely none of the things that I tried right? And I think it was then that I realized that at some point, if something is not meant to be, right, no matter how much you see into the future, how much you try to make things work, you can't. It won't work. And I think it was then that I realized that that I mean, I'm still telling you what he said. And I realized that this Slack and all this stuff is going to get me so far. Ultimately, I'm only going to get what I am supposed to get. Right. Reena came, I fooled her. I think I didn't do well by her, and she left. I think I did the wrong thing there. And no matter how much I tried to patch it with whatever things I could think of, although nobody else could probably even have spoken to her and gotten married to her, but even then, नहीं चलना होता है कुछ तो भाई नहीं ही चलता है. So that was what happened.
Yeah. और इसीलिए बोलते हैं when you're installing software, just accept everything. What
Try
by
yes,
default agree,
absolutely
yes,
check
yes.
all the boxes.